Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is kind of the start of a reading. Obviously, it's the start of a reading vlog, but I'm going to be vlogging my experience with Winterween, because Winterween is happening again, and you know, our girl Gabby from Gabby Reads, I'll link her channel down below, she has been doing Winterween, Summerween, Springoween, like all the weens. We even have a readathon on Halloween, because she full-heartedly believes in spooky season all of the time. So, to celebrate, kind of, I guess, I want to do a challenge, because, you know, who am I if I'm not challenging myself? But I wanted to read 7 books in 7 days for Winterween. So Winterween starts on January 10th. When I come back, it will be January 10th, and we will be starting one of the books. And it ends on January 16th, so it's a week-long readathon. Am I guaranteeing that I'm going to read all of these? Probably not. But would I like to? For sure. So I have gathered 7 recommendation videos from Gabby. Recommendation books that were recommended by Gabby for this reading vlog. So I'm gonna read it like Gabby, and all but one of these are scary, maybe 2, but we'll talk about it. I'm gonna go through my entire TBR for this. I wanted to keep it mostly like scary books or thrillers or horror novels type of thing, because it's Winterween, so spooky season, bringing the spooky season to the winter time. That's the whole point. I don't know what the prompts for Winterween are this time, because I haven't actually watched the announcement video, but I'm just gonna go with these books regardless, because I want to celebrate everything Gabby. That sounds really weird, but yeah, she brought us Winterween and Summerween and all that, so let's just read it like Gabby for this vlog. Some of these I have knowledge, like I've seen on recommendation videos from Gabby. Some of them I've seen in reading vlogs, and like she just loved them. And some of them I went on Goodreads and searched all my thriller horror novels, and if Gabby gave it more than a 4-star, then I put it in this pile, and I ended up with 7, so that's pretty good. The first one is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I know that Gabby is an Alice Feeney stan. Like, she usually loves everything that Alice Feeney writes or has written. So you follow this girl named Amber who wakes up in the hospital. She can't move, she can't speak, she can't even open her eyes. She can hear someone around her, but they have no idea. Amber doesn't remember what happened to her, but she has a sneaking suspicion her husband had something to do with it, or her sister, or maybe both. My name is Amber Reynolds. There are 3 things you should know about me. I'm in a coma, my husband doesn't love me anymore, and sometimes I lie. So I thought that I had read this, but I have no memory of this book, and on Goodreads it doesn't have a review or a rating, so maybe I never read this. But I have read Daisy Darker, and Gabby, I know you love Daisy Darker. I did not like Daisy Darker. So I am a little scared. Sometimes I lie. This one is also going to count for my buzzword book because the prompt is truth and lies. So I'll also link Kayla down below. The next one is another scary one for me because I have a tendency to not like this author. I think I've only read 2 books by her, but it was enough for me to say that I'm never gonna read from this author again, but here I am. So I'm gonna be reading I Found You by Lisa Jewell. I have no idea what this book is about, and I could read the synopsis to you, but I'm not going to. We're gonna go in pretty blind on that one, and maybe I'll be happily surprised and I'll love it. I doubt it, but maybe. Then we have Reprieve by James Hahn Matson. I thought this was a horror novel about this escape room in the 90s where people are dying, but based on Gabby's review, it basically says that this was a really good book. I think she gave it 4 stars, but that it's more of a social commentary on things, and that it's definitely a slow burn literary fiction. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but nonetheless, it is here. Then we have 2 small books. One is a novella and one is a middle grade, so that way it will kind of help me get through the bigger, chunkier books, because I have an almost 800-page book on this TBR. You haven't seen it yet, but it's next. So for a novella, this is And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. This is 200 pages, 164 pages, but it's a zombie apocalypse / psychological thriller. So I don't really want to know more than that because it's such a small novella. And then we have Hide and Seeker by Daka Harmon. I don't really read young adult books anymore, but this one seems really cute. So, really cute. It seems scary, but it's ready or not, here it comes. Justin knows that something is wrong with his best friend. I went up the hill. Z went missing for a year, and when he came back, he was different. Nobody knows what happened to him. The hill was muddy. At Z's welcome home party, Justin and the neighborhood crew play hide and seek. But it goes oh so wrong. Very, very wrong. Stomped my toe. One by one, everyone who plays the game disappears, pulled into a world of nightmares come to life, and made it bloody. Justin and his friends realize this horrible place is where Z had been trapped. All they can do now is hide from the Seeker. Should I wash it? Okay, that's great. I feel like those will be pretty easy to get through, hopefully. Because this one is super chunky. This one is also not a thriller, horror, scary novel. It is terrifying because it's a classic, but it's Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And yeah, I said it's 777 pages, I believe. Let's see. 777 pages. It's a classic that takes place during the Civil War that follows these 4 sisters? Question mark. I've had this on my shelf for a very, very long time, but I am terrified of classics. But I saw Gabby read this in a vlog, I think, and she loved it. If I remember correctly, it made her cry though. I don't want to be crying. I have no idea what this book is about. I just know it's a classic, and I'm counting it for historical fiction on PBR-a-thon because I'm stretching it. Okay. And the last one I actually have the audiobook for, and I will be listening to this one, Little Women, on audio mainly, but I might also read it with my eyes when I can. This one I'm gonna primarily be listening because it's nonfiction. So this is My Favorite Murder, Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. I wasn't gonna include a nonfiction, but this is true crime, and I think that these two have a podcast, and they talk about a lot of the stories that they've talked about in their podcast in this book, but Gabby really, really enjoyed it, so we're gonna give it a shot. Alright, so it's day 1 of Winterween, and I look good. Sorry. But day 1 of Winterween, which is Gabby's readathon from Gabby Reads. And I think that all except for Little Women, all of the books that I picked except for Little Women are scary books, because Winterween is when you bring spooky vibes, you bring Halloween to the winter time. So this readathon is happening from January 10th to January 16th. It's a week long, and by the time you see this, it'll already be over. But my goal was to read 100 pages of Little Women every day, except for the last day, it'll be 177 pages. So I'm listening to this one on audiobook in the mornings before work. So that means that today's Friday, I read the first 100, and then I'm going to kind of pause this one until after the weekend. Maybe. I don't know. I am enjoying it, but there's a lot going on, and I'm not sure what the point of the story is yet. I don't know. Maybe it's just a slow start. It is a classic, so it makes sense it's kind of slower and there's not a whole lot going on. But Little Women follows these 4 sisters, the March sisters. There's Jo, Beth, Amy, and one other one. I'm sorry, I am listening. It's just a lot. And there's things about like the Civil War, because I think this takes place during the Civil War when the men are gone and the women are very, very, I don't want to say poor, but poor. They're very, very, there's not a lot to go around right now, and it started at Christmas time, and even though the March sisters don't have a whole lot, they still share what little they do have, and so far I'm really, really enjoying the sisters. I'm liking getting to know them, but I'm also a little bit like bored. It is Saturday, and my plan for Saturday was to read for the weekend was to read at least like 3 or 4 of those books. But I am gonna be real with you, I don't think that's happening this weekend. My baby girl, my Bella Boo, if you will, my boo-boo, my baby, my dog, she was my baby girl. Her name was Bella. She died. She died today. She's gone. And I'm really sad. I'm really, really hurting. But I finished and then I woke up. So I finished and then I woke up by Malcolm Devlin. And it's a very short novella. This was something that Gabby loved. I think she gave it 4.5 stars if I remember correctly. I have not decided on reading. This one's very interesting because it's kind of like in a zombie apocalypse, but it's kind of like a plague taking over the world, but it's also kind of like the plague that is already in the world. How like there's garbage TV, there's garbage humans, and what it just has a lot to say about society in this small, tiny book. I really, really did enjoy it. I thought I was going to finish it last night, but then I got tired, so I fell asleep, and I read the rest of it today, and then I had a whole thing with baby girl Bella, and I'm struggling right now. But I enjoyed this. It was weird. It was wild. It was weird. It was not what I was expecting. I'm probably gonna land on a like 3.5 or a 4 star. Probably 4 stars. Because especially the writing style. So the writing style, have you ever seen Deadpool where mid-action scene Deadpool freezes, looks at the camera and starts talking to you like you're in the movie? Yeah, I know that some people hate that. I love that, and in a lot of ways I kind of felt like this book did that. Also, it's kind of like a bunch of short stories, kind of. It's all about this zombie apocalypse or this plague, but it's different characters' stories, but it's all from the perspective of Lewis. I think his name was Lewis. And he's like, oh, okay, well, this part is my opinion. And then he's like, this is what she said happened. Oh, but this is what actually happened. And it was just kind of a refreshing, interesting take on like a zombie plague. I don't normally like plague type stories, and I'm very particular about my zombie media, but I did really enjoy this. It was very refreshing and very different. It did get dark at points because it's a horror novel or a horror novella, but it was really. Before my heart was shattered into pieces by Bella, my husband and I and my son went to the store, and turns out that the Office Depot next to us is closing, which means that they're having to close out sales. So I accidentally bought a TBR cart, and my husband already put it together. So now I have 4 of them. Also bought these new dressers. So that one's his, that one's mine over there. And I'm hoping it'll work better than our last thing. And then my husband put together our new pantry. I'm sure he didn't put the stuff in here yet. The cereals.
You want to do it all again anyway. Just making your life easier, babe.
Thanks.
Look at me now.
Yes. And you can play. Okay, I am 115 pages into Hide and Seeker by Daka Herman. I'm actually like getting ready to start filming my entire own TBR for my channel. So I'll link it if it's already up. This might come up first though. I don't know. Oh, probably not. Hopefully this is up on Friday. It's currently Sunday, so I have like a week. Less than that. 5 days. But this is going to be that video where you go and you say the name of the book and the author, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But since I'm 100 pages into Hide and Seeker, I thought I would update you. This is fine. I don't read middle grade, and I did not think that Gabby read middle grade either. But here's the thing. I saw her review, and basically it was like, this is the first middle grade I've ever read. It was fine. I just felt too old to be reading it. And I feel the same way. It's a game of hide and seek, and there's like missing children, and things are happening. And like, I really like the chants in here. Those are cute. It's dark and scary for a middle grade. I just feel like I'm too old to read it. So the next time I see you, I will be done with this book, and I will give you my final thoughts, but I really don't see them changing much. It's a fine book. It's just not for me. I'm too old for middle grade. I mean, I feel the same way about young adult books. I don't really read young adult books because I feel like I'm too old for them. And this just reads very, very young, but it's a middle grade, so it's nothing against this book. I just don't need to read middle grade books anymore. Please ignore my mess. But I finished Hide and Seeker by Daka Herman, and like, it was fine. It was fine. So I'm gonna give it a 3-star, but I completely agree with what Gabby said. have a lot of work to do in here. I need to get all 4 of my TBR carts set up again. And I need to get these piles behind me on the bookshelves, you know, more organized. And then, yeah, that's it. But while I'm doing that, I think I'm going to be listening to Little Women on audiobook because I have been reading it with my eyes and listening, but I could use a break from reading with my eyes because I read most of Hide and Seeker with my eyes, and then I got bored, so I listened to it on audio. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was fine, like I said, it's just not for me. But Little Women, I am 100 pages in, and I should be 300 pages in right now. So I have this audiobook version, and I'm just gonna listen while I do some of this. I don't know if I'm gonna take you with me or not, but before I do that, look at my shirt. It says be nice, and then it says mean people suck. This was actually my mom's shirt. She gave it to me, but it just made me feel good to wear it today. So you might see me in fast forward just doing this because this is gonna take me a little bit and it's almost bedtime. My shelves look really nice now. Ignore this one. Those are my Pango books, and I do need to reorganize them. they just have a tendency to kind of get, like, unorganized. But this shelf and this shelf look super nice. They took me a little bit, but that's okay. I also have this small stack of books that I guess don't really matter because they're not unhaul books. So I recently did like my entire TBR video, and I had 15 or so young adult books on my shelves, but I ended up moving them because I got them. So, story time. I obtained all of these young adult books at the beginning of our fostering journey because my husband and I had originally thought that we were going to foster teenagers because from what we knew, teenagers were hard to place. And a lot of teenagers don't want to be adopted because, you know, they're going to age out of the system soon anyways. But our thinking was for as little or as long as they're in the system, we want to be that safe place for them. We want to be their people or their person. And originally, that's what we had discussed with our social worker and our foster agency and stuff. But our social worker is amazing, like so amazing, and she knew that teenagers were kind of outside of our comfort zone. Not to say that we'll never have teenagers in the house, but you know, we have more experience with the younger kids, and that's kind of where our heart is, I think. And my social worker saw that. So she got us placed with a 4-year-old who calls me mom because now I'm his mom. And, anyways, that's like a long tangent way of me just saying that I had gotten a bunch of young adult books thinking that, you know, teenagers would be in the house. And I'm not certain that there will never be teenagers in my house. So I am going to be keeping all of the young adult books that I'm going to talk about right now, and that I'm going to be talking about. I don't know, maybe I'll do a video where I show you all the young adult books that I have, but I'm putting away for now because I don't need them, and I don't read young adult books, so it doesn't make sense to have these YA books just taking up real estate on my TBR carts and my bookshelves. Anyways, I'll quickly go through this. I have to start here with a haul, I guess. My friend from work asked my husband what to get me for Christmas, and he suggested the illustrated edition of The Hunger Games. Like, Patrick bought me this for Christmas, and it's freaking beautiful, and it's definitely on my must read for 2025. Like, it will be a reread for me, but I've never read that beautiful edition, and I am starting to become somewhat of a collector for the books that I like. But he told her that, not knowing that these editions haven't come out yet. Like, The Hunger Games is the only one that's come out, but the illustrations in there are so magic. So my friend from work got me the rest of the series, which is Catching Fire and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. I think I want to finish the entire series. I know that like the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, and at the time I wasn't really interested, but I might be interested now. Anyways, she got me those, so that means that my 2 ugly hardback editions, I mean, they're not ugly, they're just hardback, and I prefer paperback books anyway. So those are gonna be up, or not up on Pingo. These I'm gonna keep, but those will be the ones that my fosters get. If I get a foster kid that's the right age. I hope that makes sense. Then there's Divergent by Veronica Roth. Well, here's the thing with that. I bought what I thought was a entire matching set. This one's hardback and these are paperback. But that's okay. I have the whole set. So I'm just going to keep this one. I might have the entire set in paperback already. But this is the only one I can find right now. But I'm going to just put them over somewhere else so I don't have to see them all the time and they don't have to take up real estate. Along with 10 by Gretchen McNeil. By the way, love this book. It's a slasher. I mean, I love all of these, but this is a slasher and isolated horror novel. Young adult horror, but so good. Divergent, like I'm pretty sure you know, dystopian. Then Mockingjay and Catching Fire is another dystopian series. I was more of a Divergent girl when I was younger, but I kind of want to do a reread of all of them. Then If I Stay by Gail Forman. This is a heartbreaking YA contemporary, but it broke my heart. And I mean, I highly recommend these. I just don't read young adult books anymore, so I don't ever see myself rereading them. Here's the thing. It's only because I had extra copies of The Hunger Games and Divergent. I'm sure I have the entire series. I just need to go put them away. Those I will reread, and I have 2 Natalie D. Richards books that I might reread someday, so I'm going to keep them for now with, like, my books, not my foster kids' books. And then I also have the Holly Jackson series. I don't know if I'm ever going to reread those, but I do really love Pip. So for now, I'm going to keep them. And then I have The Companion by Katie Allender. This was a scary one too. And Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This is my favorite Stephen Graham Jones, and it's young adult horror about this mannequin. So this group of friends is trying to get their friend who works at the movies into trouble, or like scare her a little bit. So they put this old mannequin into the movie, but then the mannequin gets up and walks out of the movie, and then scary stuff happens. It was amazing. I loved it. I know by the synopsis it sounds weird, but I swear it's I am like halfway done with Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. Oh my god. I wanted to update you last night, but I was so doggone tired that I just didn't. But I read more of it last night, and it was like truth bomb, truth bomb, truth bomb, question, question, question. So I was so confused, but like in the best way possible. So now I'm really enjoying the multiple timelines. So there's the timeline from before when she was her name is not Alice, it's Amber. When Amber was a kid. Then there's then, which are chapters that happened like a week ago. And then there's now, what happened after the car accident that left Amber in a coma. And it is all so good. I mean, my favorite chapters are really the coma ones because she's describing what's going on and she's listening to the conversations from like that are going on in the room, but she's in a coma. She can't move. She can't react at all. And so it's just like super isolating being in her mind in those chapters. And then the other chapters are just giving me so much background information, and I'm just trying to piece things together, but I'm enjoying the ride so far. This one might be, I don't want to jinx it, but this might be my first 5-star read of 2025. We'll see. I just finished Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. What did I just read? this was everything. This was killer. This was unreliable narrator. This was plot twist over plot twist, which, like, some might argue is cliche, but I don't care. I loved it. The atmosphere, and the 3 different timelines. So, you have the childhood, like, Amber, what happened in her childhood, which was, like, mind-turning, twisted, spin you around and get you dizzy. Okay. Then you have the now timeline, and now Amber is in a hospital because she's in a coma because of a car accident. Yeah, because of a car accident. And then you also get Amber's perspective from about a week ago, because from about a week ago. What led up to her being in a coma. And it was, like, mind twisty and very, very slow at times. Like, the ones I loved every chapter because it ended on a cliffhanger and was just, like, mind-numbing. But I had so much fun with this. I'm gonna give Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney 5 stars. Here's the thing. I've only read one other Alice Feeney book, and it was Daisy Darker, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. But I know that Gabby loves it, so if you want a recommendation from Gabby, she likes Alice Feeney. I loved this. She also likes Jennifer Hillier, and I recently read Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. I need a copy of that book stat because I absolutely loved that one too. But surprisingly, Gabby didn't like that one as much as the rest of them. But let's get back on to topic about Sometimes I Lie. This was freaking amazing because you follow Amber Reynolds, who is in this coma, and you know that she was in some kind of accident. You just assume car accident, or at least I just assume car accident, but you don't know what happened. Like, you only get bits and pieces when she's in a coma because, like, no one knows that she can hear what's going on, and no one knows that she's consciously, like, kind of there. And this was just so trippy, but I enjoyed it so much. Okay, so I'm looking at my TBR for Winterween, and I'm supposed to finish 4 more books. I don't know if I'm going to, but let me show you where we're at. Okay, this is supposed to be my TBR for the rest of the week. It's Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to finish all of them because this vlog ends on Friday and it's Tuesday night. So, game plan going forward is to finish Little Women because I haven't been keeping up on my 100 pages a day, but I am 200 pages into this massive book, and, like, it's fine. I'm not loving it, but I'm not really hating it. I do really want to finish it though because, like, it's massive. It's such a brick, and I just want to be able to say that I finished it. Plus, like, I'm dedicated because I'm already 200 pages in, I technically should be 400 pages in. So I think what I'm going to do is tomorrow morning when I'm getting ready for work, I'm going to listen to this on an audiobook. I've been listening and reading, but I kind of need to amp it up a little, so I might listen to this in the mornings, so then it would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 3 mornings, 500 pages. Yeah, we still have a lot of this one, but I want to finish it. I'm dedicated. Okay. Then I kind of really want to read a nonfiction. I don't read nonfiction, but I can tell you the consensus is that I like it or that I didn't like it. So this is Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered. Gabby really liked this one. That's why it's on the... I mean, she liked all of these books. That's why they're here. Okay. Here's the thing. I do really want to read Reprieve by James Hahn Matson at some point soon. But I think this is going to be very, very slow. I think it's going to be very, very literary horror. And I don't know if I'm in the right mindset for this right now. I also read Gabby's review, and it said something to the point of, this is not a horror novel, but she really, really enjoyed it for what it was. But people go into this one thinking that's something that's not. I think that I was one of those people. I haven't even started it. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. Listening to Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen and Georgia from My Favorite Podcast, My Favorite Murder, the podcast. I haven't listened to the podcast, but I might have to look it up now. So Gabby recommended not only this book, but that audiobook, and that's why I am choosing to listen to it on audio. But holy snaky. The fact. Here's the thing. The first chapter is called F Politeness. Because so these are true crime podcasters who have written a book about true crime, but also about staying sexy and not getting murdered, like a self-help book, kinda. So freaking crazy book. It's so crazy because each of these women have gone through experiences that you see on the news about being and murdered, and murdered, or just murdered, or whatever. And low-key, a lot of people judge the victim, or worse, blame the victim and shame the victim for being or murdered. You put yourself in a bad situation. And it's just so eye-opening. I'm only 65 pages in, but it's so eye-opening to listen to this podcast to this book that it's these women are looking back at their life and they're like, oh my gosh, I made the worst decision that night, and I did this, and I did this, and I was so terribly, I was too polite to say, no, that's not happening, or I don't want that, because I was too polite. But F it. I don't want to be polite anymore if that's going to put me in scary situations. And there's a lot of talk about how these women are super hard on themselves and blame themselves for stuff that, like, situations that are not their fault. Did they make a couple of stupid decisions? For sure. But the fact that some guy at the bar is trying to force you to take a shot, or that some boy took you up a mountain to have a photo shoot with you, and now he says that, you know, he's not going to drive you home unless you... Yeah, that's not your fault either. I mean, could you have made better choices? Perhaps. But do we blame the victim here? Absolutely not. And it's just very interesting to me because I blame myself for every bad thing that happens to me. And, like, yeah, rightfully so. Sometimes I make stupid choices. Everyone does. Everyone makes mistakes. But it's like, oh, well, that was a stupid choice, and that's what got you into this situation. It's never, like, there's never a gray area with me. It's always my fault, my fault, my fault. And that's not fair either. And it's just very, like, it's such a fun listen so far. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I do feel like it feels kind of like a podcast, but they're podcasters. So, I mean, that makes sense to me. So I'm just going to listen to this. Hopefully I can finish this today. And then tomorrow's Friday. So it's Thursday. Sorry, I don't think I mentioned that yet. But tomorrow's Friday, so I need to finish Little Women tomorrow. And I don't think... Even if I finish both of these, I did not read a book a day for the 7 days. I only read 5 books, but I read them all like Gabby. And you know what? I'm okay with finishing 5 books because I think this is a really easy listen. I think I can listen to this after work today. We don't have anything going on, you know, except for mom life. But that's like when I cook dinner and when I catch up on grades, I can listen. It's been a few days. It's actually a couple days after the end of Winterween when I'm filming this part. I know that I had a stack of 7 books and I was going to try the 7 books in 7 days challenge, but you know, life happened and there were some emergencies that I had to deal with and there was just a lot going on. And you know what? I ended up reading 4 books, read it like 5 books. 5 books. There's actually one other one. 5 books, like Gabby from Gabby Reads, to celebrate Winterween because Gabby is the one that puts on Winterween, Summerween, Springween, and Halloween, like Halloween, readathon. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, my brain. But basically, I've been a follower of Gabby for a while, so I wanted to do this to honor her. Most of these were scary adjacent books, except for Little Women, which was a feat to finish because that book, the version that I had was 777 pages, and oh my gosh, was it big. So it kind of reminded me a lot of Jane Eyre, which is cool because I loved Jane Eyre. I really, really appreciate Jane Eyre. I didn't really connect too much to Little Women. I don't have any sisters, but I enjoyed the sistery love and the sistery banter in it. It took place during war, which is not my thing. It was fine. I'm probably gonna land on like a 3 or a 3.5 star. It was perfectly fine. I just don't think it's super special. And I know that Gabby loves this book, and I appreciate that she loves this book, and I'm glad that I finally read it. It just wasn't... I'm very, very picky about everything, but specifically food that I eat or classic novels. I want to say that I want to read all the classics, but then when I do, I'm usually disappointed by them. And Little Women is not disappointing to me. It was fine. I'm sorry if I hurt anyone's feelings. But then I read this, which is Hide and Seeker by Daka Harmon. This is a middle grade creepy novel about a game of hide and seek where, like, it comes to find you. Ready or not, here it comes. It was fine. Again, I don't think that I'm the intended audience. I gave it 3 stars, which is what Gabby gave it, but I just feel like I'm too old for it. Then I also read And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. This was a weird kind of zombie apocalypse, but it was also about like psychology of people, and I actually really, really enjoyed this one. I will be keeping this one on my shelves. I gave it 4 stars and I enjoyed it. Then I read Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and really, really enjoyed this. It was twisted. It was more a thriller than horror novel, but it was so good because you follow Amber Reynolds, who is in a coma after a car accident, and there's like 3 different timelines, so it goes by 3 different chapters. I definitely liked the present day chapters the best, where we were learning about what happened. Like, she's like, that doesn't make sense, because she's there, she's in a coma, she can't move, she can't talk, but she can hear everything that's going on, and that was super creepy, and I loved it. And then you get chapters of before the accident, what led up to the accident, what happened, which were very intriguing for me. But then you get her childhood chapters, and I'm like, oh my god, she's really messed up, isn't she? It was great. I'm gonna be keeping that one. And then probably my favorite, but I don't rate nonfiction, so I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not rating it, but if I were, it would be 5 stars. My favorite murder, so Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered. This, I found a new podcast through this, but also, this is like self-help mixed with true crime, and it was just perfection. I absolutely love this.